Alright guys, so I'm going to do a quick overview of the features of the A119 Viofo Dashcam. So we're on their website here where they have put together a pretty nice guide with a few pictures and specs and stuff. So we're just literally going to go over this and have an overview of the features this way. There's no point, reinventing the wheel. And once we do this, we're going to go over and we're going to have a look at the unit itself. We're going to do a quick unboxing. Then we're going to look at a few sample videos and see how the unit actually performs. But for the minute, let's just go over the main features. This is the unit here, you can see it. Let's go for larger view. Well, there you go. So you have a little lens here. It's a glass lens, it's an f1.7, so it's a very bright lens. And this is where you put your SD card in. This is a microphone, this is a reset button, this is either a speaker or probably speaker, just a ventilation hose. This is where you stick it onto your windshield. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Although there's also a unit with a special. Well, you'll see when I show you my version. My version is a GPS version, which is a GPS module here. So you actually just slide it onto a GPS module here. It looks a little bit different than this, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. I suppose. Oh, there you go. No, is that the same? It's just from side view, and this is with a GPS module attached. So this is what it actually looks like. So we're going to show you everything in practice as well. So don't worry about it. It's just a quick view of the unit itself. Let's have a look at the features. That's the more important thing. So it is a what have we got here? So we've got the full 1080p HD, but it's actually better than that. It has 1440p at 30 frames per second, so that's 2560 by 1440. It also does 1296p at 30 frames per second, so that's 2304 by 1296. It also does 1080p 30, but also 1080p 60. And it looks buttery smooth, as we will show you in a minute. It also does 720p 30, 60 and 120 frames per second. So you like to watch your crashes in slow motion, this is the camera for you. It really is amazing, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. So it has a 4 megapixel CMOS sensor. It has no batteries. It has a GPS logger unit, so that's optional, but it's only about £12 on Amazon, so it's cheap. I definitely would get it. There's many advantages to having it. It has a 2-inch LCD screen. The LCD screen is nothing to write home about, to be honest. It's okay. It does the job, but you're not exactly gonna, be adoring it for very long. It has a microphone, which is great. It has CPL, which is a circular polarizing lens or filter, but that is optional. That you have to buy special lens. I guess that you can rotate the lens. And this is a video icon. I don't know what that thing is. Maybe you can tilt it up and down and twist left and right or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, stylish look. I wouldn't call it stylish, but it's functional. It does the job. It's black color, so it's not too obvious. But obviously, if you got something stuck on your windshield, it's pretty darn obvious. I don't know why people worry too much about this stuff. It's okay. It's not massive. It's not intrusive. It's okay. I would say it's only okay. Capacitor power, so it has capacitors instead of batteries, which means it doesn't explode in heat, and it doesn't melt, and it doesn't do any nasty stuff that batteries, especially lithium-ion batteries, can do. So that's brilliant. It needs a little bit of power when you actually turn off your car. The power suddenly drops, but it needs a little bit of that power that's spared, that's kept in the capacitors to then safely switch off the unit and finish the recording of the video, etc. So it says here that it does 2K and 1080p 60 frames per second. So it's slightly confusing, but we've already gone over the actual features. So it's 60 frames per second at 1080p. And it does, I suppose that's 2K. I call it 1440p at 30 frames per second. So yeah, video is very impressive. So we're not going to spend too much time on this. It has 160-degree wide view. So the view is absolutely perfect, bang on. Perfect lens, really nice lens. It's f1.8, not f1.7. Sorry, that's my bad, but it's there very close. Anyway, it's a very bright lens. It does a really good job daytime or nighttime. And it's very sharp, extremely sharp. So first class night performance, I wouldn't call it first class, it's very good, but it's not especially for nighttime. There are better versions out there, and its dynamic range could be a little bit better, but for the money, it's absolutely amazing, and we'll get to that as soon as possible. So we're going to keep going. So the lens is rotatable, so you can pivot it left, right, and you can tilt it up and down, and you can literally have a video of the sky if you want, because that's what I did by mistake, and I'll show you that as well. So if you're into stargazing or meteorites or that kind of stuff, that's the perfect camera for you. You can tilt it all the way up and have a nice view of the sky and the surrounding trees. This is the CPL, so the circular polarizing lens filter adapter. So this is a nice little Hollywood flare effect, but essentially it cuts down on reflections. So that's good. There's the picture of it. I don't have that. I didn't get it with you. It's an optional buy, just like the GPS unit. And the GPS logger module, it's worked brilliantly for me. I've never had any issues with it. I have it recorded on the videos on the bottom here. You'll be able to see that. If it loses the satellites, it actually stops logging, so you don't get those coordinates. But all my videos have all coordinates at all times, so it works really well. But I haven't been driving around in a really tightly built up area, so I suppose that kind of would be expected. So that's the quick overview of the features. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the actual unit. This review is going to be based on firmware. So version is A119.160829.v1.1. So it's not the earliest version. It is a new version, which I noticed because it has miles per hour as well as kilometers per hour. Also supports 128 gig cards. It says here only supports 64 gig cards. It actually doesn't. It supports 128 because I was using 128 gig card. G-sensor motion detection abilities. I haven't tested these, to be honest. Capacitor model, we've talked about that. These are the actual sensors it uses. They are very good. So circuit polarizer, GPS logger, 2-inch screen, and the video modes. Right, let's go over and have a look at the actual unit. Here is the unit itself. As you can see, it looks exactly the same as what we've seen on the website. Not really anything to add, I suppose, so let's just move along and have a look at some of the sample clips now. Now, this is the Viofo, Jesus, horrible name, A119 dash camera, and the way I've installed it is not very good. As you can see, the lead just about gets in there. It's not very comfortable and may damage it over time. And then what's even worse, I've put it too high up, and because of this wedge shape, it's quite fat there, and I can't actually get the mirror, the rear view mirror, in the right position to be able to actually see the full way back. I can only see kind of half of it, so I'm going to have to reposition this, but it's stuck on pretty well. The idea was to kind of hide this GPS module behind this bit here, but I think I'll have to move it down a bit, and once I do that, they should be able to use this just fine, but then the rear view mirror is going to block the screen. So I don't know, we'll see. Not ideal, but when you're positioning your unit, make sure you assemble it completely, cable and the unit and the GPS module, and you then will be able to position it in the proper way. Make sure you can see the screen, make sure you can touch the buttons here, make sure you can set your rear view mirror the way you want to, and then stick it on. And I've been setting it up a little bit. It seems to be fine. It's very simple in terms of like just menu, and then you can go into menu generally. Oh look, it's recording now. It's a little red dot here, and I thought it was recording earlier, but I wasn't, because there was no red dot. But this red light was, you can see a little bit of a red light here, and I thought that was it, but I don't think that was it. So anyway, it's a bit of a learning curve, but hopefully I'll figure this out soon enough. Okay, I'm just after turning on the car, and the camera switched itself on automatically, and I can see the little record button going now. There we go, and there's the timer going. I'm shooting 1080p 60, and I've done the overlay of the speed, the time, the date, and the GPS as well is being recorded, but it doesn't record as an overlay. It records as separate data, and then you just have to extract it via a special app or program or whatever. Okay, so let's go for a spin, see what it looks like. Wow, I'm very surprised, but that came off super easy, and it hasn't left any stickiness or anything behind, and I just repositioned it there. So I'm very, very impressed and intrigued by that, and hopefully that doesn't mean it'll just fall off very soon. But that was I was expecting a struggle to get it off and a bunch of sticky mess to be left behind, but not at all. I repositioned that very easily. Just twisted it slightly and just came off. So, wow, good. Thumbs up for that. Okay, now I'm just testing the audio. I've turned off the radio. I'm speaking maybe a slightly louder voice than I would normally, just to see how it records, because from what I've seen online, the reviews, the voice recording is fairly faint. So speaking a little bit louder hopefully will fix that if you wanted to record, you know, certain things, events that happened on the road. Thankfully so far it's been uneventful. Okay, now I'm going to just lower my voice a little bit. I'm going to talk in just a regular voice, see how well I can hear that, how well it picks it up against other noise that's in this not exactly new car. It's a bit of a squeaking going on, and see if that's loud enough to get some decent audio onto the video so you can actually understand what you're saying. And the next test is going to be, I'm going to turn on the radio and I'm going to talk over the radio and see what kind of sound we get that way. So I'm talking in a pretty normal voice, but I think I'm competing with the radio, and the radio might be winning, but the whole point of this test is to see what happens.
Jumps out to the front. Usain Bolt starts to catch him. Usain Bolt passes him.
Okay, now I've lowered the volume down on the radio. See if that improves my voice over the actual radio noise. Alright guys, so here are the pros. Great video quality, 20 megabits per second, sharp, smooth and detailed daytime video, very good video at night, especially at this price range. Handles direct light really well. Bright lens with a great field of view, that means you get great coverage and great detail, so it's a balance and they get it right. Very solid construction, has a capacitor design which means it's heat resistant up to 65 degrees Celsius, has a built-in microphone with decent audio quality. It has warning notifications, emergency record button, that means it doesn't overwrite footage if you press that record button. Let's say there was something happened, so that'll stop that happening. It has an 11.5-inch USB lead, which is very long, very handy for mounting your camera, and it has wire clips provided. Easy installation, so it can be changed if if you don't get it right the first time. And it has a responsive company, which means they provide firmware updates until they get their product right, which is not very often these days, and it's great value for money considering you're getting 1440p30 and 1080p60. Really nice, buttery smooth. Then let's move on to the cons. There aren't that many and they're not big anyway, but let's just go over them anyway. So dynamic range, not on par with high-end dash cams, but we're being very picky here, and that's hardly surprising, obviously. You must stop recording to access the menu. That's a little bit annoying. When you press the menu button, what actually happens is you take a still image. The GPS mod is an extra about 10, either euro, pound, dollars, whatever your local currency might be, and that's actually quite reasonable. It means it can also be interchanged if something breaks. Let's say the connector on the USB, because it's plugged into the GPS mount, because you're unplugging and unplugging. Let's say you're doing that a lot and you damage the connector, which does happen quite frequently. You just replace the module and you're back good to go instead of replacing your whole camera. Night video isn't quite as good as some of the top-end cameras when you go outside the city. So inside cities it's great, with the light is great, but outside of the cities it's not that great. But again, hardly can blame it at this price range. The parking, it hasn't got a parking mode, so that's a small downside. But it does offer time lapse. You can turn sideways, so let's say to record any police interactions, it will pivot slightly left to right, but it will not completely turn all the way to the left or all the way to the right. But again, that's a minor niggle. And in order for you to be able to view your speed and your route on a map, you do need a software called Dashcam Viewer. But again, that's hardly a negative for the camera. I mean, if it was provided, that'd be brilliant, but it's not. So it's an extra expense if you want to get that. But again, that's an option. So anyway, it's a highly recommended dash camera. I'd say the best one at the minute on the market. So have a look at the description below. I'll provide a link to where you can buy that camera, and enjoy it, because it is brilliant. Definitely highly recommended.